我们都在轰轰烈烈的站起来，站起来。Welcome to the 278th edition of China Now with your gang of two. Nan Su, who is the senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times, and yours truly, Michael Olson, who was dissuaded from being a China hand by the great helmsman himself, Mao Zedong. Each week, Nansu and I look out across the broad expanse of the Pacific Ocean from our home port at SantaCruzVoice.com and we ask, China now, friend or foe, war or peace? Ni hao, Nansu.
Hey, good morning and good afternoon and good evening, depending where you are.
Welcome aboard, yes. Well, Nansu, we're now in the fourth week of the war in the Middle East, and the question of who is winning what remains unanswered. It appears as though the US and Israel have bombed Iran's military into oblivion, but we wonder, has Iran's military been wiped out or is it just hiding out? It also appears that the Iran has successfully blockaded the Straits of Hormuz, thus shutting off the oil supply to its principal ally, China, that is now dealing with angry citizens waiting in gas lines. And of course, President Trump has canceled or delayed his scheduled end of the month trip to Beijing, all the while trying to talk Xi Jinping into sending ships into the Straits of Hormuz to guarantee safe passage for the oil tankers that must sail under the guns and rockets of Iran's mullahs. All of this leads us to ask two big questions, Nan. One of them is, has Iran's military been wiped out? Or is it just hiding out, waiting for the storm to pass so it can gin up some nukes and raise some holy hell? And then the other question is, will war in the Middle East provide Xi Jinping with the window of opportunity he needs to invade Taiwan? So, lots of big questions to deal with today on China Now. And things are hot and heavy over there. Did you imagine that they would get this hot and heavy this quickly, Nansu?
No, but I think things are moving in a great direction, though.
Good. Okay. Well, that's what I'm looking for is a little bit of optimism on our part today. But let's start off with Trump canceling his trip to Beijing. This is a much anticipated trip because there was so much on the table. Tariffs, trade rules, technology, Taiwan. It was all to be put on the table when Donald Trump and Xi Jinping got together at the end of this month. But a couple big things happened to change the plans. One of them was that the Supreme Court struck down Trump's tariffs policy, telling him you can't do that. And that pulled the rug out from underneath Trump with respect to his dealings with Xi Jinping and the CCP. The other thing that happened, of course, is the war in the Middle East. So Trump canceled. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I think it's the Iran war that actually make two sides that cannot agree with a lot of things. So I think China want to wait it out, to see how the war goes, and also same from United States side because if they it's just not clear. Uh,
What's going on?
yeah, because I think that both sides have things ask, and both sides have things they want, but the problem is uh, uh, give and take. It's really it's really depending on how this war goes.
Yeah.
So
And
both
who
sides are
ends up
holding something and waiting to see.
and waiting to see who has the upper hand when things shake out. One of the things that I wonder about, though, with respect to waiting things out, as both China and the U.S. seem to be doing by Trump not going to Beijing at the end of the month, is that the Straits of Hormuz have essentially been blocked, thereby preventing the oil from getting out. Now, China is in a tough shape because it needs that oil to run the country. As a matter of fact, there are signs of disgruntled people waiting in gas lines throughout China now, consequent to what's going on in the Middle East. But also, Trump needs the oil out too, so that he can reduce the price of oil on the international marketplace. And he's got an election coming up too. So there's only so much waiting that both sides can do here because both sides need that oil.
Well, first of all, the Iranian regime has not stopped any oils being transported to China, right? So the oil still, coming out of the strait and going to China. So China gets whatever they want by this point. Now the United States certainly can stop that, but we didn't do it because it's for the same reason you're talking about, and if because if you stopped oil from moving to China, China just want to pay a little more. They go to the international market, that will just basically uh that will just basically make the situation worse, right?
Ah,
Now I think that our airline is doing a very bad job here. They don't want to go send their own uh, force there to protect their own oil tank. That's
so,
very bad.
yeah. So
You
this
know,
oil is really uh, not going to be benefiting us directly in the United States because we grow our own oil, as it were. We
yeah,
produce our own.
the United States export more than 4 million barrels a day. So we are exporting oil. So now the situation is Iran is attacking all of our allies around Iran, and also attacking the oil tanks that's going through the Hormuz Strait. Now the NATO just say, hey, we're not going to put, you know there's no reason they attack the all the European countries. They cannot justify their action in any way by attacking by attacking the European countries' oil ships. So and you have France, Italy, UK. They all have their naval uh force. They're not there. They just choose doing nothing. This is nonsense. United States is doing the entire world a big favor, but get rid of this trouble in the future by protecting the whole world, while all these countries say, hey, we're not going to do anything to protect our own ships. You know,
And it's
why do
even
you if your tank if your oil ships it's attacked by someone, that's like attack your sovereignty, and they just say, "Hey, we're not going to do anything." This is nonsense.
why do you think they're standing up against Trump on this? I mean, this is a deliberate, um, we're not going to follow you. You're running too far ahead of us, kind of statement by Europe. Okay, Trump, you're doing this and you're doing that. Was slow down here so we can figure out what's going on. But that
See,
slowing
that's
down is,
why we cannot rely on our European airlines. We just simply cannot. We're not going to be able to count on them on anything. Now, remember on Davos, uh, uh, Trump actually said, when we are attacked, can we count on any help? He actually asked the question. Now he got an answer, right? They're just doing nothing. We don't even need them to help us. We don't need any NATO country to help us on Iran, but they need to help themselves. They just
Well,
need to help. They don't even want to help themselves. Well, I think eventually they're going to have to move. Now, keep in mind,
well,
I
they won't move until they decide that they can move in a way that benefits Europe or themselves. Uh, and they're probably not going to do anything until they decide if that's a possibility. That's just my guess. But
well,
it's,
that it will be too late then.
yeah. Well, we hope not. Um, if the big question is, why is Trump pestering Xi Jinping to bring his ships down?
Well, I think Trump saying just saying that he because he knows that Xi Jinping doesn't need a ship to protect the Chinese oil tanks, right? They need is just tell Iran how this is a Chinese ship, but they don't make attack, then they won't, right? So now I think Trump is basically using that as a pressure point to let everybody to let everyone know that China is behind Iran. They are the one responsible for this attack eventually. At the bottom line, if there is no support from China, uh, Iran just cannot do this. So, and China, it's, so, uh,
I guess if this Middle East conflagration in Iran demonstrates anything, it would be that China is behind Iran, and Iran really has become another proxy of China.
that is
All the, all
correct.
all the military weapons, everything um, flows from China into Iran, and what flows back is Iran's very cheap oil. So, in effect, China has turned Iran into a gas pump, guarded by its rockets and its radar systems. So, all of those Gulf co countries that Iran is shooting its Chinese rockets at have something to consider about who this China really is. And I think you're right. I think that's what Trump is trying to point out to everybody in the world, the fact that China is the enemy in this one with Iran, and the two are pretty much together in this.
Yeah, I think that uh, Trump is also telling Xi Jinping that, if you don't stop Iran from attacking the ships that are going through the strait, then we're going to take away your oil too. So I think that's the part that two sides cannot come to the agreement upon. So therefore, Trump canceled the trip. So maybe our military, I think soon will take some sort of action, probably either to going to take over the Karg Island, then the switch of the Iranian cheap oil to China will be controlled by the United States. So if they want this oil, they have to kind of convince Iran to stop the attacks, to stop attacking the oil ships going through the strait, or nobody gets anything.
And that seems to be what Iran's play is. Um, we're going to try.
Well, it probably it's going to make the oil little more difficult, but somehow, if
Yeah,
if if the United States can get all these Middle East countries to stay on our side, it will be easier. Just don't sell China any oil.
there you go. That would be something to pull for Trump to pull off if indeed it's possible. You know, this Karg Island business is very interesting because that seems to be the focal point for Iran's oil export industry. They do have some pipelines. They did build a pipeline uh, that bypassed the Hormuz Straits there that they are using now to get oil out to China. I know that. But with respect to the actual focal point of Iran's oil industry, it's at Karg Island. Now, when I heard that Trump was loading up Marines in a troop ship, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Was he going to invade the island and take it over? And then that was followed up by the attack on military installations on Karg Island. So it appears as though that is something that could be shaping up, is that boots on the ground in Iran on Karg Island. Now, that would give the United States control of the spigot, but it wouldn't give the United States control of Iran's oil, upstream oil, because they could just turn the flow off to Karg Island, and then it would just be a big oil refinery with no oil to refine. Your thought?
Well, that island basically, Iran's export oil, more than 90% of it has to go through that island, right?
Yeah.
If the United States controls the island, then they lost pretty much lost their export.
Yes.
Now it's just how we're going to do it. The island is like a 20 square kilometer, right? It's not a big island. You probably need to have these. We have to send these amphibious attack ships to go through Hormuz Strait. Um, so see if they are able to go through that strait.
Yeah. So we're in a difficult situation, I think. Um, we pretty much wiped out what appears to be the majority of Iran's military. But have we wiped it out, or has it just gone underground? Which is what their plan was always, that they would be attacked and then they would just go underground and wait for the attack to subside. Then they'd come out shooting.
Well, our goal is not to totally, get rid of their military, right? Our goal is to get rid of their nuclear weapon and get rid of their missile and their missile manufacture industry and drone manufacture industry and their warship and warship manufacture industry. So that's our goal basically. We don't have to go, demolish or entirely wipe out their military. The problem is if we're not going to totally wipe out their military, how can we prevent them from quickly rebuilding their all this industry and being wiped out?
Mhm.
And I think that it's the key. We need to control their oil export. That's the key. So otherwise,
That's their money.
they
That's
have a
their,
lot of money. They don't care. You destroy everything. They just rebuild everything,
yeah.
right?
They're like kicking over an anthill.
Well,
As soon as you kick over the anthill, ants go right back to work rebuilding their anthill, and that's it.
here is the problem is at least we have not accomplished the goal of the basic goal yet to destroy their nuclear material, their already enriched 60% uranium. All these things that we have not been able to accomplish so far. So, but we got an air uh superior
Air superiority.
yeah, airship superiority. That's what we got so far, you know. So we pretty much destroy their missiles, their missile manufacturing industry, and drones. Most of the drones, plus you know, but they still have a lot of drones probably hiding, right? They still have hiding. They're still hiding. So that's why we start seeing in the last few days this like 5,000 pounds bunker buster. You know, this
Yeah.
kind of the things try to
They
destroy
do, they dig
everything
deeper,
underground city.
they dig deeper, and we build bigger bunker busters.
Yeah.
And that's the
So
game.
well, how do we? How it's a tricky point right now. How we're going to move from what we have already got to the next point, you know, to go get there, you know, enrich the uranium and make sure their plants that you know their labs are totally destroyed. So that you know I don't see any other options without putting the boots on the ground.
Ah, that's what we're looking for. Will it happen? And Trump, I don't know if he promised or not, but he seemed to say that there would not be a boots on the ground
Well,
situation.
I think what he means is not we're not going to do any nation building.
Nation building. That's it.
Yeah, we don't care to change the regime, right? We are going to continue making attack until they sit down and sign the agreement with us, and I don't know. I think that I think that if we're not going to do the nation building, then we are just trying to pressure. We're just trying to pressure them to come up with some sort of leader that's pretty much acceptable to us, a moderate guy that's going to basically lead a secular government.
Well, then what we're talking about is nation building, is it
No,
not?
it's not.
What
It's
is the
not.
difference?
We're not. We are looking for some guys who it's from the current government, right? Uh,
Well, the current government is governed is ruled by the mullahs.
not necessarily. After see, I think that Trump is waiting for the government kind of like divide from inside. uh,
Oh,
After the more and more pressures being put on them. So until one day, you know, all these people, they have like hundreds of thousands of military hiding in the ground city, in underground city, and then we just keep, bombing them until one day they cannot hide anymore, right? So how are you going to just leave underground city with so many people if if the underground city is just not livable anymore? They have to come out.
well, then we can have a conversation with them. But I wonder, we're going to have to take a quick break. But when we come back from the break, I'm wondering, can we live with the theocracy that is Iran, or must we change it to survive in this world? This is the China Now. Welcome aboard. 278th edition of China Now, something like that. Yeah, way up. Yeah, 278. And we're talking about the war in Iran, which is in effect a war against China because Iran is China's proxy in the Middle East. It's its source of cheap oil. And that is what we're contending with China about as we speak. So, this war that we're fighting with Iran is really a war that we're fighting with China. And that is a subject of China Now Today. Do stay tuned. We will be right back after these very brief messages. Welcome back. This is China Now, ladies and gentlemen. Has Iran's military been wiped out, or is it just hiding out, waiting for the storm to pass so it can gin up some of those nukes and raise some holy hell in the world? And it seems like that is what Iran is intent on doing and has been intent on doing for the 50 years since the revolution. And since the revolution installed the theocracy, the very conservative Muslim theocracy of Ayatollah Khomeini, who has been since been dispatched, and who knows who's running the show now. So can we live with that theocracy? It doesn't seem like we can, Nansu. It seems like all of the negotiations we've had with that theocracy have proven to take us nowhere.
It's true. We have gave them money, trying to
Plane loads of money.
we give them money, try to, stop them. We try to pressure them. We have exhausted every way possible to stop them from getting the nuclear weapon. And while at the same time, they always saying they always have these slogans of like a death to Israel, death to America, all these things they've been saying all the way. Um, they never change. So I don't know how we're going to change that. These people they have they change the entire uh, play role, right? They want to they 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 they're not going to hesitate to use the nuclear weapon once they have it, once they process it, because the way they're thinking is, they destroy United States. If we also go back to destroy them, they will go to heaven. And how are you going to stop that?
Well, that is the theocracy that we're up against. And it was interesting that it was Jimmy Carter who supported the overthrow of the Shah of Iran and instituted and brought in the mullahs. And it's just been downhill ever since. It seems like we've and what was the first thing that the Muslims did? They took everybody hostage from the American embassy. Remember that? It went on forever. And it wasn't until Ronald Reagan came in and said, let him go, that they were actually freed. So it just seems like we always try to figure out how to negotiate with these people, but these people are not the least bit interested in negotiating their jihad away. That's what. So, did we have a choice?
I don't
And
think so. I do not think so. I think that this is the decision. Uh, well, the difference between Trump and all the previous presidents is that all the previous presidents they didn't come to that close to the point that nuclear weapons are going to be made by Iran in the matter of weeks, right? So Trump doesn't really have any choice. That he cannot wait. Right? If he wait more time, something may be going to happen.
so all of the other presidents in the previous 50 years who have faced Iran were able to slough it off, not make a decision, not make a commitment because Iran did not yet have the weapons grade materials to make nukes with. They do have it now. What do they have? 600 pounds? Enough to make 11,
406 kilometers. So that's like
that's almost
900
800, yeah,
pounds.
900 pounds of
It's
weapons.
900 pounds. They got enough to make 10 nuclear weapons. So
And what would they do with those nuclear weapons? Well, of course, they would hold it over everybody. You have to do what we want you to do, or we'll just set these nukes off, and we don't care whether you like it or not. And of course, it's not going to be Iran that sets the nukes off. It's going to be one of Iran's proxies, maybe the Houthis or somebody like that. They're going to give the nuke to and say, "Here, go blow up."
well, first of all, once they have the nuclear weapon, they're going to threaten all of our allies in the Middle East around Iran, right? They are the closest. They don't need a intercontinental ballistic missile to send that to all these countries around them.
Put it in the back of a Volkswagen and drive it there.
Right. Well, just the short range, the ballistic missile will do it. They already have that, right?
Yeah.
So, or I don't know. There are many ways they can deliver that. Maybe a drone or something. I don't know. Maybe not even a car.
You know,
Maybe.
it's really interesting that China allows for this to have they would literally be surrounded by crazy countries with nukes, North Korea and Iran.
They don't care because their number one enemy, it's the United States. That's what they're doing.
But still, to have two countries like North Korea and Iran who could turn on you on a dime.
Well, I don't think China actually care about if North Korea has nukes or not, because they already have nukes. And also Kim Jong-un, it's a guy he have every week they have plane loads of luxury stuff transported from Europe to North Korea. So he is living, you know, like a olden day king.
Yeah.
He's not going to uh go to heaven in his mind. He doesn't want to go to heaven. He doesn't believe in heaven. So he's not going to choose going to heaven in any way soon. So he doesn't want to, and he want to pass his whatever he has to his daughter or his family or whoever inherit his power, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that. But the Iran, they're playing a different game.
They are playing a different game. And there are they have the money to play that game.
Well,
And
the key,
therefore,
so that's why I say, to destroy their air force, their missiles, and their drones, their warships, and all the industries making these weapons. It's not the end of it. The key is how to cut off their money supply. If they don't have money, they're not going to be able to rebuild all this. So the key is how we're going to cut off their money at the end. And the Cargo Island, it's the excellent choice. I think, but however, how to get to Cargo Island, that's another thing, right? Because
you have to go
because
around you have to go around
the Hormuz, right?
yeah, Hormuz
Yeah,
Strait.
yeah. Our ship, the amphibious attack ship, it has to go through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
Or if not, then how we're going to get it? I don't know. Maybe airborne, division that's going to coming from. from above and then to take over the Carg Island. I'm not sure if that's feasible. The island. If you're looking from sky, that's like a 20 some square kilometers. Uh, I'm not sure, if that's
A
big enough for
big piece of
airborne.
property, yeah.
Well,
Well,
if you're airborne, the land is too small, like just 20 some square kilometers. I'm not sure if they can do airborne though.
yeah. Well, we certainly did a lot, those kinds of things in World War II in the Pacific, and the more the more I look what's going on in the world, the more it looks like World War II in the Pacific. Kind of frightening.
Well,
So,
how big, if we do an airborne mission, how and what's the minimum size of the land then they need to be? Because otherwise you're gonna drop those soldiers to the sea,
yeah.
right?
Well, the problem right now is that the entire Gulf states, or all of the Gulf states, are being held hostage by Iran and its position, its strategic position overlooking the Straits of Hormuz. You know, that is the choke point. That is what you have to figure out how to come to grips with. And as long as Iran has all of these secret tunnels filled with rockets and drones ready to attack whatever comes around the Hormuz Straits, you know, the world is held hostage. So how can you stop that? It seems to be you really need to change Iran in fundamental ways, which is to say you have to ch change how the Iran sees the world. Now, you see all of the people in Iran who seemingly would love to have a new government that would bring back classic Persia, I guess. Would it be possible? Is this possible without getting rid of the theocracy? I guess is the question.
It's very hard. It's very hard. I think that's why they are trying to. Well, I think at this point, without putting the boots into the ground, I think the only option is to take the Cargo Island. Because Cargo Island it's like 20 some more than 20 or 25 about 25 kilometers from the coastal line of Iran, so
Yeah.
it will be easy to control. Now, putting in the ground, that will make things a lot complex.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, that's what I was thinking as soon as Donald Trump started loading up the Marines in a ship. I thought, well, what else are they going to do? Carg Island makes all the sense in the world. It is the spigot, and it does control the flow of oil, at least out into the world. I suspect that if the United States were to take over Carg Island, the Iranians would just turn off the pipeline, and there wouldn't be any oil flowing to Carg Island. So that would still be shutting down the flow of oil, at
Well,
least.
that will depend on if they have we have entire if we have entirely destroyed their Iranian regime's missile capability and drone capability, right? So, because they are keep attacking the countries around, then it's like if they cannot export any oil, then nobody could, in the Middle East. So it's very important, so to entirely get rid of their drone and missiles as well as the manufacturing industry is making those things. So
And then the only way to really do that then is to get rid of the theocracy that 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 funds it. that the spiritual guidance of the whole madness.
Now, if we do have a map of this underground city, I would
Mhm.
say, in and out operation is possible without without doing the nation building business. So do we don't know if we know that we have a map, then it's just going to be like Israel on Gaza, that kind of
Gaza,
business.
yeah,
They are hiding in the underground city, and then we just go there if we know that the under how the underground city is built, and we just go there, or maybe we can basically locate the points that the maybe the vents, the ventilation area for the underground city and in and out, entrance and exits, and then have these bunker busters really just destroy their you know
yeah.
the underground city. So, but that need probably, I don't know if that need to have the boots on the ground because if we don't have the map of the underground city, it will be difficult to do that.
So, given how intense things are and uncertain they are in China, it just didn't make any sense for Donald Trump to go over to China right now because of the war, and because he's lost his tariff card. To what extent do you think the loss of tariffs will impact Trump's ability to negotiate this war?
Well, I think that he didn't lose anything. He just it just both sides just waiting to see how the result of the war is going to be, right? Because what Xi Jinping has in his hand, it's the car he has, it's the rare earth, right?
Yeah.
The rest of them, if they don't, if they don't buy our farm product, if they don't buy our Boeing planes, I think it's fine. I think it's the rare earths. But now we have oil. Oil is a much bigger car than the rare earths. China only have what 115 days of oil reserve. So if we cut off their oil, they're going to be in a much bigger trouble than the Western world without rare earths. So I think that we don't Trump doesn't have to go there if without an agreement arranged. And I think, and the reason that the agreement has not been reached by this point, it's just because both sides cannot come to the agreement,
Right.
and they want, they really both sides are really see what the United States is going to be able to accomplish in the Middle East.
Do you think in fighting Iran, we're really fighting China?
It's yes, absolutely. And plus, so fighting China, it's the one part of it. Fighting, to prevent Iran from getting the nuclear capability, it's another part of it. Both sides are, I think, are very important. Both sides are almost like equally important. If Iran gets the nuclear weapon, what are you going to do?
Suffer the consequences, I guess.
Yeah, they can, you know,
They can shoot off a nuke anytime they want. Just they
Well, they can use that to threaten the Middle East country, all the countries around Iran, and they can ask a lot higher price from our European countries who depending on the oil supply from Middle East, right?
so they
And
can
this,
with
well,
nukes they can dictate terms.
yeah, if that comes to the point. That's what they're actually able to do. What is our NATO country airlines going to do? Think about that. And they don't want to even now to just protect their own oil tank. I think that makes nonsense.
Do you think they're afraid? I think they're afraid. And
Yeah, they're afraid.
it's not just Europe, Japan too.
Well, then send their well, Japan is a little different. You know, Japan have this like a constitution thing. They it's like a hurdle that they need to get through. So
Um,
in order to send their ships to the Middle East, but however, you know, the UK, France, Italy, Germany, you know, they nobody is preventing them from sending the ships and their fighter jets to the Middle East, right?
are they afraid of Iran?
I don't know if they're afraid or they just don't care. All they care is still they're still doing business with China. That's all they care about.
Well, do you think China is behind the refusal of the Europeans to participate with Donald Trump?
Well,
Do you
just
think
like Mark Rubio said that during the Munich summit, economic security summit, that we're going to do it. We're going to trying to sustain and defend the Western civilization by ourselves. If Europe doesn't want to join us, or we are hoping they're joining us, but if they don't join, then we'll do it all by ourselves, and then we're doing it.
and we're doing it? And the interesting thing about Marco Rubio is that he's been ruled persona non grata by the CCP, and yet he was still going to be accompanying Trump to Beijing for the trade talks that are not going to be happening right now. So, will China buckle under and support Trump's effort to keep the Hormuz Straits open?
Well, I think if we eventually, you know, if we if we are able to take over the Cargo Island, you know, and then we uh ask our airlines in the Middle East that just don't sell any oil to China. I think that the China will listen.
Well, China will listen if it doesn't have any oil, yes.
That's right.
But as long as China can still get oil, they will resist. That's my speculation.
That's right. So that's how you know how we'll be able to. There's a lot of work that need to be done between United States and our allies in the Middle East, and also a lot of work for our military to get over with. I don't know if you know what the next step would be. Um, I'm not sure if we are able to actually get to the get to the Carg Island you know, without taking over all this. You know, there's four small other islands in the Strait of Hormuz that need to be you know, occupy, or at least to you know to destroy all Iranian military force on those four small islands in the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not sure if they're able to do that.
Right. Well, why would we want to invade the Karg Island if we can just bomb it out of existence and shut down that oil supply?
Well, I think Trump is still hoping, you know, there is a deal or there is a leadership change to take place in Iran, right? Now, if they agree with a leadership change, you know, they will appoint someone that that's going to be acceptable to the United States. and somehow we can work out a deal, then destroying the destroy I think that this to destroy the oil facility and port of facility in the cargo island is the last resort to destroy it. Once you destroy, then
Then it's over. There's no hope left then.
yeah, there's no hope left.
Well,
So there's no point to negotiate anymore.
and that's the frightening thing. So it's kind of like the last chip on the table.
Yep.
So we have to come to grips with that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the first hour of China Now. We've been discussing the war in Iran, in which the U.S. and Israel have pretty much pulverized the Iranian military and a lot of its political infrastructure when it gets right down to it. But the question is, how much? Is it all gone, or just a little tiny bit of it gone? Or is the majority of it hiding underground, uh, where it has enough fissionable nuclear material to build 10 nuclear bombs? Frightening proposition. But is all of this a setup to provide Xi Jinping with the opportunity to invade Taiwan? That is our question for the next hour. So we hope you'll stay tuned to China Now with Nan Chu and Michael Olson as we pick up that incredible piece of this puzzle. Is it time? Is Iran providing Xi Jinping with the opportunity he needs to invade Taiwan and thus fulfill his long stated dream of invading Taiwan? Do stay tuned. This has been China Now. We will be right back after these important messages.